Good afternoon. Today I'll continue to be talking about the coronavirus and the latest updates and news. So the first bit of news is actually quite depressing. New York, the number of deaths in New York have broken a record of the highest number of deaths in a single day since the crisis began. So this is actually really serious, as before for the last 2 days, the number of deaths was actually decreasing and holding steady. So many people thought that we were over the crisis, and perhaps the apex or the height of the virus has already reached, but clearly not, as the numbers grew again today. And now Governor Cuomo, of New York, have already asked for federal assistance, and he has said that social distancing must continue. So the second thing I would like to talk about today is that when will the peak of New York City's cases come? So there's always been talks about when the peak of New York City's coronavirus outbreak comes, because if we're over the peak, then we've fought off the virus successfully. And the past week, the governor and the president have been saying that New York will hit its highest point this week, and then we will hopefully begin to drop. So that means that this week is critical, and absolutely we will be probably facing the worst we've ever seen this week to see the peak, and then it may drop from that. But there has been uncertainty of that prediction, and many things could come into account, as that the curve could go up and drop, but then there would be a slight pause at the top. Maybe we would be on the peak for maybe a week, and I don't think hospitals aren't capable of holding itself up when hospitals are already so damaged and pressured to help everybody. And others, however, say that the worst and the peak is still a little further off. So Mayor Blasio of New York said that he fears May could be worse than April. So he's thinking that the peak is going to be at least come maybe early May. And with New York's health commissioner, Dr. Barbart, has predicted that the peak will come in late April or May. So when the peak will happen is currently uncertain, and it just kind of leads to the fact that how long can New York hospitals hold for this long? We never know the truth. But there are things that we do know, that currently hospitalizations of New Yorkers have been decreasing, and while the daily death toll took a hike today, there are signs that we are hitting a plateau. Said Mark Levine, who heads the New York City's Council's Health Committee, said on Monday. There's also chief of surgery of New York Presbyterian Hospital that we are hurtling to weeks predicted to be our worst. However, let's just say that the peak is absolutely unknown here, and we can only hope that the New York hospitals and the New York healthcare system is strong enough to hold us off until the end of the peak, and perhaps when the cases are gradually decreasing. So the third thing that I would like to talk about today is that yesterday I talked about how Britain's health minister was in critical condition, and we don't have any idea what is going to happen. But now today he has remained in the ICU, which has worried the entire Britain. So his security of foreign British Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab was selected by Prime Minister Johnson to take over for him, and He said that Mr. Johnson was receiving standard oxygen treatment and breathing without any assistance, like a ventilator. And this is kind of just saying that Mr. Johnson is 55, and if he is on a ventilator, there is very good chances that he might not make it. Because many people, when battling this virus, when they are put on a ventilator, it's usually too late, and people usually just die when they're on the ventilator. And that's just kind of really serious, because Britain currently has no written constitution for the line of succession in the case of illness or death of the head of the government, and it was for Mr. Johnson to decide who would stand in for him if he became ill. Mr. Ram has been relatively untested. He was only the leader of the Foreign Office for less than a year. So Britain was already really late in proposing some coronavirus guidelines. Prime Minister Johnson usually didn't take it really seriously, and now I guess he's just paying for his mistakes, and I really hope that he recovers well to keep the entire country of Britain together. But if he doesn't, then we don't know if Britain can't handle it. I mean, so let's just wish them good luck. And that's it. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a good day.